Hello everyone, this is Jackie Williams. Thank you for joining me. In this video, I want to share with you some tips and tricks with the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. Now, I have also created a Stampin' Up! Trimmer guide, and this was my first draft. The link for the one that's in the video description, I now have added photos to make it even more clear and usable for you. But just to go through a few basics with you. First of all, the Stampin' Up! Trimmer comes with 2 blades, and both of these, I should say, are replaceable. You can get more cutting blades, of course, and you can get more scoring blades. Your scoring blades probably will never really need replacing unless it happens to fall out or you lose it. I find it helpful to mark them. The scoring blade is the lighter color and the cutting one is the darker, but I have put an S and a C on mine just to help avoid little whoopsie accidents when you meant to score and you cut instead. If it is a problem or you're concerned about that, you could just remove the scoring blade and then just put it on when you need it, but just make sure you know where you put it. This is when you might need to buy another one. Now, to remove them, if you go down here to the bottom of this clear arm, there is just, I don't know if you can really tell in the video, but right here, there's just a little place where it's a little wider than the rest of the track. And I just flex it just a little bit and they come right out like this. Okay. And then that's how you would put the new one in, just right down here in that little spot. Now, one thing that's a little tip for your cutting blade in particular is to use both sides of your cutting blade. And what I mean by that, if I'm going to pull that out, is that little blade, you can see it's like a triangular shape. So there's a blade on the right side and a blade on the left side. So what you can do is use both left and right sides. So you're getting, you're using all of it before you need to buy more. So you can cut down, but also you can cut up. So you're using both sides. And if you just alternate between the two, then it's going to be a very long time before your both sides of your blade get dull. The other way you can do it is if you, for whatever reason, prefer to always cut up, then you can, when it starts getting dull, take the blade out and actually just turn it around so that you're using the other side of the blade when you are cutting up. So that should extend the life of your blade quite significantly. Now you can start to tell when your blade is getting dull if you're not getting a perfectly clean cut like this, but instead the edges are a little bit furry. Sometimes, I have to say, certain colors just cut furry. So maybe check it on a few colors before you go ahead and replace that blade. We just want your dollars to go as far as possible. Now, as far as measuring, sometimes I see people measuring in here in the middle using these grid lines, which if that works for you, great. But there is this little ledge here at the top, and there's actually a little ledge here at the bottom. And if you just push your paper all the way up to the ledge, then you know it's straight, and then you will get a straight cut. Now, there is also this extendable arm. I found that a few people don't even know that's there. Just make sure that it's extended all the way, like it can't go any further, because you don't want this on any sort of angle so that you get nice straight cuts. And it's not in the white or the lighter gray color, but there is still markings there, so you can measure even through that little gap. And there is a little bit of a ledge on this arm, so you can make sure that your paper is nice and straight all the way through, all the way to 17 inches. And then this just tucks away and locks back in so that when you're transporting it or storing it in your cupboard, it's easy to do so. Now, for the rulers, there are rulers on the top and on the bottom and even in through the middle. There's rulers all along this extendable arm. And there's rulers along, you can't really probably see it, along that right-hand side. So I often use these when I'm wanting to cut just like a 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter, rather than doing it like this, where I only have a little bit of the ledge to keep my paper straight. And I've got this that's kind of in the way. It's actually, when you're doing very small measurements, easier to use this side. Make sure it's flat up against this ledge all the way across. Put down the clear arm and then cut, nice and easy. In addition to the rulers, like I mentioned before, you do have these grid lines, which are nice and frequent. So if for any reason you do need to cut down in the middle of the trimmer, you can kind of line it up. Also, if you're cutting a particularly long piece, you can just sort of check, do I have it straight? Like, is that edge, that cut edge straight? And then you can see if it's lining up or not. So you have lots of touch points to make sure that what you are cutting is straight or how you want it to be. Now, there is also an additional ruler, and that is down this clear arm. And what I've done is I've actually put a little strip of white cardstock there. That just helps me see those markings a little easier. Now, the trimmer comes in inches, but there is a clear arm that you can purchase separately that is in metric if you prefer to use that, or maybe have it to swap in and out depending on if you're following a tutorial that's in inches or metric. And then this is optional if it makes it a little easier to see. Now, this is helpful when you are cutting, for example, in the middle of a paper. So if I want to cut from 1 inch down to 4 inches. So I've made now a 3-inch cut, and I've used this to be able to see where I'm cutting. Now, how I know where I'm cutting exactly, I'm going to pull this out so you can see. There are these little marks on all 4 sides of the blade casing. So where that mark is exactly where the blade is. So when I want to measure that little indent, or that little mark on the right side of the case of the blade, I've lined up with the 1 inch along that clear arm. And then I'm going to bring that down until that mark is against or measured up with the 4. So I've cut now a 3-inch piece, and then I'm just going to lift that up. Okay. So now I've cut a little 3-inch piece. I did that twice, so now I did it a little bit off. But this was just random, but you can see this could be quite useful when you're cutting out the center of a cardstock. Perhaps if you only have one piece of something and you need to make it go a bit further, or if you're a scrapbooker and want to pull some weight out of your scrapbooking layouts, or if you're making a shaker card or just want to make a frame, then this is how you would measure cutting out that's not from edge to edge. Then the last tip is to make sure that this little cutting groove is nice and clean. So you may not know this, but if you have a take your pick tool, on the other side of your little piercing tool is a little spatula. And I found that this is the best tool for just getting in there and clearing this out so that your blade can run nice and free and it's not being dulled or caught on anything. And if you don't have one of these, you can add it to your wish list, but in the meantime, you could just use like a firm piece of cardstock or something similar to just make sure this little track is kept clean. Well, I hope those tips are useful for you, and if you would like the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer guide that has these tips plus a few more and pictures to help remind you, please check out the link in the video description. If you have any tips that I haven't shared that you have discovered, please feel free to leave those in the comments below, or anything else you'd like to say or ask. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. This is Jackie Williams, and I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.